I don't think many people are going to be angry at me for making this video, and it's just a video I need to get off my chest. It's something that's been playing on my mind recently, and it's not biased because I'm a Sean O'Malley fan. It's not because I think the points Aljamain Sterling is making aren't valid. It's just how annoying him and Merab are and how they're going about this situation, and I need to get this off my chest. This channel is about ranting, it's about debates, it's about conflict, it's about having this kind of mixed opinions. This is what I love, and this is what I love about the sport. I thrive under this environment. Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili need to shut their mouth or fight each other. Or go fight in different divisions. Because this whole thing, Aljamain Sterling wins at Polaris against Mike Grundy and then goes, oh, sugar Sean O'Malley, fight me or fight Merab. The toughest challenges, this and this and this and that. I think Sean O'Malley fighting Chito Vera is absolutely fine. Regardless of the fact Chito Vera definitely does not deserve a title shot. It should be Sanhagen or Aljo again, or Merab. It should be one of them three. You know, if we're giving Israel Adesanya an immediate rematch against Sean Strickland, give Aljo a rematch. Come on, Adesanya is fucking 1-2 in his last 3. Like, he does not deserve a rematch. But it's a business, first of all. And second of all, O'Malley has lost to Chito Vera. If Chito Vera is in the top 5 and I'm a champion and I'm like, okay, I've got one loss on my record and it's against Chito Vera, give me him. Let me defend my belt. That's a massive fight. I've lost to him. That's justification enough to give Chito Vera a fight for the title. He's beaten the champion before and the champion wants to redeem himself. That's all you need to do. MMA fans and purists that are annoyed about that need to understand Sean O'Malley's the champ and he's lost to Vera. Give him the Vera fight so he can redeem himself. Also, makes him much more solid as a champion because now he's redeemed his only loss in the UFC and he's undefeated in the UFC other than, you know, the Pedro Munoz fight, which was a no contest, not even including that. Second of all, it's a business. And third of all, there doesn't need to be justification for that fight. Vera's in the top 5. He's coming off a win. Yes, Sanhagen destroyed him. That's a terrible look. But he beat O'Malley. So O'Malley's the champ. If I'm champion and I know somebody in the division has bested me and they're in the top 5 and he beat Pedro Munoz, who O'Malley did not have a good performance against. It was a very boring fight before it got stopped by an eye poke, which was actually a punch, can I just say, for fuck's sake. MMA is honestly appalling. I'd want to fight Vera too, and it's justified. It's also a much bigger fight than the Aljo rematch. But that's not what we're speaking about today. That's one of Aljo's points. And it's like, Aljamain, you probably do realistically deserve a rematch. But before the fight, you said you were definitely not staying here. And also, you'd most likely be given a rematch if you weren't saying, oh, or fight my best friend Merab, you know, and I'll sit back and I'll fight top contenders if I stay at 135. That's not how this works. Merab Dvalishvili should be cut from the bantamweight division. First of all, when Aljamain was champion, he was destroying he destroyed Jan. He was getting people out the way so Aljo could sit there and have his fights, and Merab would also eliminate top contenders instead of fighting the champion. That is a terrible structure of a division. That should not be happening. Merab has the most boring style known to man. He should be cut from the UFC. Aljo shouldn't be cut, because you want to know what Aljo did? He became champion before Merab. So Aljo has more legs to stand on here. I think the next fight for Aljamain Sterling, this is a crazy fight, a crazy thought. All Aljamain can do is talk about how much he challenges himself, how much he this and how much he that. Go and fight Max Holloway. Let Merab fight O'Malley and let O'Malley knock out Merab, which I think will happen. I genuinely think a first round knockout is what would happen. I think Merab is awful. He's brilliant when it comes to putting the pressure on. He does something so well, so badly. It's just weird how it works. He's such a bad MMA fighter that it makes him a good fighter. He's got this tough style of relentless pressure and failed takedown attempts. It will not work against a sniper. I promise you it will not work against O'Malley. It works against Peter Yan because he needs to build momentum and he needs to build rhythm in a fight to start getting his work off, as you've seen against Sandhagen, as you've seen against Uriah Faber, as you've seen against Jose Aldo. You will not see that against Merab just due to the styles make fights difference. A sniper like O'Malley, who is, bear in mind, he did not grapple for 6 weeks before fighting Aljamain and went out there and he knew in his mind, avoid this man like the plague and catch him. That's exactly what he will do to Merab with weeks of survival training, grappling training, instinctive grappling training, which he'd be put through without an injury this camp. I said it in my video, second round TKO for O'Malley. I know how O'Malley fights, guys. People seem to forget, I know how O'Malley fights and I know he would pace Merab up. I wouldn't have a worry in me. I've been watching O'Malley since he was before the Contender Series. I know he's my guy, and I said it's his time. I said it's a superstar moment. It's here and it happened. I called it how it was. O'Malley needs to eliminate Merab, which means Merab needs to stay in the bantamweight division, fight his fights. I have no issue with O'Malley fighting Chito Vera in maybe February, March, UFC 297, and then going and fighting Merab after he fights Chito in March. I think realistically, Volkanovski is going to headline a card in January. I think O'Malley will headline maybe February, March, and then April. UFC 300, I think, could be when McGregor would come back. Okay, I think McGregor could come back next year in April. Long time away, but obviously O'Malley's not going to be fighting until next year. I think they might slot O'Malley in February. Against Chito Vera, which would be a load of time for O'Malley to recover. He's got a back injury right now and a rib muscle strain. So he's got a few nicks and nags right now, which he's recovering from. I keep quite up to date with his podcast, and I was listening to him on Joe Rogan speak about this. I'm not some weird, I don't have any insider information. I just do my research, okay, guys? And I think Aljo, this is how I would do it. I would have Aljo fight in January or February as well, and have Merab fight potentially around then as well. Have them all fight at once. You know what? Aljo did say he would fight again this year if they gave him a big bag of money. And I say, slot Holloway and Aljamain in for a main event in December. If the UFC want to pay him that much, just do that. Get it out the way. Get it done. This is my mind right now. I know Aljo probably wants to stay at 135 and avenge that loss because it would drive me mental, And also he probably knows how much money a trilogy would do between him and O'Malley. He probably has that in the back of his mind. He probably made a fortune off the O'Malley fight, and he's probably sat there like, the pros and cons of this. I go up to 145, I lose to Max Holloway. That's him as good as done. He's getting older. He's had injuries. He goes out there, beats O'Malley in a rematch, which very well could happen. But then he gets the trilogy. Regardless win or lose, he's getting the pay-per-view points for the trilogy as the champion, and he makes all that money. My phone's just buzzed twice, so I'm just checking what that was. It's nothing important. Hear me out, folks. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Have Merab, in the meantime, fight someone like Umar Nurmagomedov. Or have him sit out. He wants to sit out for a title shot. Do it. But you can't do that when Aljo's in the division, because it's going to always come down to Aljo or Merab. And Aljo's always going to get a piece of the pie. And I think if O'Malley was to choose between Aljo or Merab, I genuinely think he might choose Aljo because of how a rematch would do good money because of the credentials Aljamain has. But at the same time, I don't think either of them should get it. I don't think you should reward Merab. I've just knocked my water over. Fuck. I'm going to leave it. I do not think you reward Merab in any way. He's a cuck. He's held up the division. He's a little goblin. His style's boring. And if he beats O'Malley, the bantamweight division is officially dead. He'll fight once or twice a year. And it'll just be ridiculously boring. And, I think you chuck Merab in there in December. Colby Leon undercard. The December card's looking great. Chuck him in to open up the main card before Ian Gary and Luque. And even look at that. Ian Gary and Vicente Luque trained together for three years or so since Ian Gary was 21, 22 at Killcliff in Florida. They've agreed, let's put on a beautiful spectacle of violence. They both just want to go in and win. There's nothing but respect. They're friends. Regardless of if Aljo and Merab are best buds, as close as you can be, and you can never fight each other, ever. Let MMA win. You're fighting against a $1 billion company that does not care if either of you fight for it. I just want to throw that out there. This isn't like McGregor saying he can't fight his best mate. This is like two peanuts in this company. Two people that no one would notice if these two guys left. I'm just throwing that out there. No one would notice if Merab or Aljo never fought again. And that's crazy to say considering one of them's a top contender and one of them's a champion. But that's just how it goes sometimes. You know? You're not, and you don't move the needle, guys, okay? O'Malley versus Cheeto makes perfect sense. I'm going to make a separate video on that and I give you all my reasons of why. That's a spectacle of a fight. That's a really big show. That's a big show, a big fight week. Also, if O'Malley goes out there and gets a highlight knockout, the UFC event as an even bigger superstar, he gets instantly 5 million Instagram followers. You know? Build O'Malley's brand. He doesn't necessarily have the personality, but I think it could come out in a fight against Vera. There's a wee bit of bad blood there, but it's all business at the end of the day. Vera will call him racial slurs, homophobic slurs, and O'Malley will snap back. Your big toe hit me, man. That's what he'll say. But whatever, you know. That's my video done, my rant done. What do you think of that? I'll go up to 45 or get cut. Like, genuinely, like. Or fight each other. Like, this is just ridiculous now at this point. It's boring. It's ridiculous. I'm sick of it. Get it on with. Get it over with. I'm telling you. Like,